Hi friend, I am Margot Starbuck, and at wordmelon.com, I help writers discover how publishers think so they can deliver what publishers want. My literary agent tells a story about being at a writer's conference perusing the book table when a woman creeps up behind him and says, "I'm stalking you." And so our relationship was born. Do I advise that other writers use that strategy? No, I do not. Would I do it again? Probably. Until that writers' conference, it just hadn't occurred to me how useful literary agents can be. And so I want to help you begin to think through whether or not securing a contract with a literary agent would be useful to you and your writing journey. And to do that, we're going to go through the top 12 questions writers are asking about literary agents. So buckle your seatbelt. What is a literary agent and how does the relationship work? A literary agent is an advocate who represents you as a writer. Sometimes they work alone and sometimes they may be part of a literary agency. You don't pay them out of pocket. Typically, the agent gets 15% of the advance and royalties you earn. When a literary agent chooses to represent you, they pitch your book to publishers on your behalf, negotiate contracts, and advocate for you if problems arise with a publisher. How does an agent help writers? Here are a few ways that agents can benefit authors. On the front end, agents pitch your book to publishers. When you get a contract, they ensure that it is fair and they can advocate to increase the value of your contract. Advance monies, royalties, deadlines, free books. They're not magicians and they can't always get you more money, but they will go to bat for you. During the writing of the book, agents are your advocates if you run into any personal or professional bumps during the process of writing the book. And they'll also help if you have a conflict with the publisher. On the back end, agents communicate with the publisher if there are ever any additional questions or issues pertaining to your book, rights, etc. And over the long haul, agents aren't thinking about just one book. They're thinking about the span of your writing career. I've experienced all of these benefits that come from being represented by an agent. Can I submit my book proposal to a publisher without an agent? You can. But if you submit your book proposal to an agent who is not yet familiar with you, it's possible it won't stand out as being any different than the hundreds of other proposals landing in the inbox of an acquisitions editor. If you do decide to contact a publisher on your own, I suggest that you leverage any social connections you can. It might be a writer in your writers group who has been published by them. It might be somebody else who can open that door with something as simple as like an introductory email. Also, writers' conferences are a great place to meet not only agents, but also acquisitions editors from publishing houses. Do writers get book contracts without agents? Some writers do sell books without literary agents. Here are a few scenarios. Maybe a publisher has contacted you because they're interested in you or your work. They may have read your article at Christianity Today that went viral, or they saw you as a featured guest on Good Morning America. Maybe a person of influence, possibly a best-selling author, CEO of an international organization, introduces you enthusiastically to the publisher, offering his or her unflagging support to promote your work. Or you might be affiliated with a reputable organization or institution that commits to purchase 20,000 books as gifts for their donors. That will interest a publisher. It's also possible that a smaller publisher that has a little more flexibility might connect with you and what you're doing, especially if there's an editor there who really likes what you're about. So some authors do sell books without agents. What can an agent do that I can't do for myself? Here's the scoop. When a busy editor at a publishing house receives a proposal from an agent, he or she gives it more weight than if you have scraped up that editor's email address and sent the proposal yourself. They know that a proposal coming from a literary agent has already been vetted. The agent has built relationships with publishers, and they don't want to jeopardize those relationships by sending them proposals that aren't ready for publication. And what that means is that when the acquisitions editor opens a proposal they're receiving from an agent that they know and trust, they already have confidence that it's going to be a good one. So, here's what agents are bringing to their relationship with you. An agent knows the market. They know what's selling and what's not selling. And they know which publishers and even which editors are buying which kinds of books. An agent has built relationships with publishers. Publishers trust them to bring strong content. An agent negotiates on your behalf. They negotiate your advance and royalties and contract mumbo jumbo, as we say in the biz. An agent is your advocate with a publisher if any problems arise. An agent considers the trajectory of your career. So let's say you're at risk of sort of being pigeonholed as a mommy blogger, but you really want to go a different direction. Your literary agent is thinking about your whole career. So in my case, I had written some books, but my agent saw that I had the chops to be a ghostwriter, and so he helped me move in that direction. How do I find the right agent? Not every writer is the right fit for every agent, and not every agent is the right fit for every writer. I'm thinking of a young, Black, progressive, Christian writer who is an activist in New York City. And as she researches agencies, she comes across one that represents lots of Amish romance and devotional guides for teenage girls. I'm just going to say it. It's likely there's another agent or agency that could be a better fit for her. So I want you to do a little homework. Look at agencies' websites online to see what they're representing, and talk to your friends who are writers about the agents who are representing them. And you can even look in some of your favorite books to see if maybe in the acknowledgments there's a mention of the agent who represented them. You're wanting to find a literary agent who's a good fit for who you are. And that person is going to be able to get excited about who you are and what you're communicating. How do I secure a literary agent? If you're seeking representation by a literary agency, you submit proposal materials to them just like you'd send your book proposal to a publisher. You should check the agency's website to see if they represent or are seeking the type of project you're offering, and also any submission guidelines they offer. If they don't offer submission guidelines, you would send them a cover letter and a book proposal. If they do offer submission guidelines, follow the directions. Don't send them less than they've requested, and don't send them more. And a bonus tip, for free, make your cover letter shine. If your cover letter fails, the agent is not even going to open your proposal to see how fantastic it is. I want you to be clear. I want you to be concise. I want you to be persuasive. I want you to be effective. The cover letter really matters because it's showing them what kind of a communicator you are. So nail it. What does a literary agent want or need to see in order to represent me? That weekend that I met my literary agent, he had given a workshop I'd attended titled, it was something like, The Kinds of Writers I Want to Represent. So when I was pitching him, I think it's fair to say I had a distinct advantage because I knew what he was looking for. Though I don't remember everything he said, I do remember he said that he wanted to work with writers who had more than one book in them. He wanted to work with writers who didn't need hand-holding, right? They'd have a little hustle. And like every agent, he wanted to work with writers who were already reaching readers. What it really boils down to is that agents need to see the same big three things that publishers need to see: a compelling concept, that unique angle, a growing platform, and strong writing. For an agent to be able to take your book to a publisher, they need to be able to deliver those three things. Can I query more than one agent at the same time? For this one, I wanted to double check with agent extraordinaire Karen Harden, president of Priority PR Group and Literary Agency. Karen offers, yes, as long as you let these agents know it is a simultaneous submission. How do I find a literary agent who represents Christian writers? Publishing and business guru Michael Hyatt keeps a great list of agents who represent Christian authors. And to find that list, go ahead and Google Christian Literary Agent Michael Hyatt, and it will take you to his list. I also want to make sure you know about a fabulous resource that is updated annually called the Christian Writers Market Guide. That is where you are going to find all the publishers, all the literary agencies, all the magazines that you can pitch your articles to. It is a real treasure. The Christian Writers Market Guide. Get yourself a copy. What should I be considering as I'm looking at agency websites? When you're researching various literary agencies, you're discerning whether or not who you are and what you write are a good match with the agency. Does the agency seem to represent only well-known best-selling authors, or do they represent some newbies like me? Does the selection of books the agency represents indicate that they would champion a book like mine, and that subject matter, its theological perspective, the whole shebang? What types of books is this agency looking for right now? Dig around the site, because the agency is often going to post the kinds of projects they do and don't want to receive, because that information benefits them and it benefits you. If an agency doesn't accept like poetry or sci-fi, don't send them poetry or sci-fi. And by all means, do not send it promising them that yours is so good, it's sure to be a bestseller. Nope, don't do it. Is there a situation in which I should pitch my book without an agent? Okay, you already know that agents need to see the same things a publisher needs to see: a compelling concept, a growing platform, strong writing. And if you're not bringing those three, it is going to be very difficult for an agent to say yes. But let's say I'm working with a writer who has a great idea that's meeting a felt need, and she's executing it really well with strong writing, but she's not yet reaching large audiences. In that case, rather than direct that writer to seek representation by a literary agency, I might steer her toward a smaller publisher. As a rule, larger publishers have to see a large platform, but those smaller publishers have a little more flexibility to take a chance on a budding communicator. The advance will be smaller, fewer dollars, but they can say yes to some projects that larger publishers can't say yes to. That said, there are always steps that you can and should be taking to grow your platform. Writer friend, I'm so glad that you're sort of considering whether or not seeking representation from a literary agency is the next right move for you. And to give yourself as many options as possible, keep working on those big three things: a unique, compelling concept, keep growing your platform, and offer strong writing. You can do this.